Welcome back, another Marcus math tutorial, how to find the approximate square root of non-perfect squares. Hopefully all of you yesterday were working on finding the square root of perfect squares. However, most numbers in the world do not make a perfect square. So when you're trying to find the square root of a non-perfect square, the perfect square and perfect square root list actually is what you're going to use. Because sometimes you're going to try to find between which two perfect squares your answer may lie, or to which it's closest to. We'll be doing both today. Our first method is going to lead us to find between which two whole numbers is our square root, although it may not be perfect. In order to do this, the first thing you're going to do is start with any number that's a non-perfect square. 78 is a good example because if you look at your list, 78 is not on there. But if you think of your list as a number line, 78 would be somewhere, maybe between two numbers. In this case, the square root of 78 is between 8 and 9. If you're going to write this using the radical notation, and the radical is that little square root symbol, you write the square root of 78 is between 8 and 9. To show you how I found this, let's look at a part of a square root list. Here's all of the perfect squares up to 400 and the square roots up to 20. I know that the square root of 78 is more than 64 and less than the square root of 81. So it must be between 8 and 9. Although I can't tell you exactly what it is, that's still an acceptable answer. Moving right along, let's try it again. Method 1, same method, different number. In this case, we're going to take a look at what if we tried to find the square root of 175. Now you look at your perfect squares and square roots list, and you don't see this number. But you could find where it's closest to. And you could say, well, I know that 169 and 196 are the closest to 175. So I'll find their square roots. To take a look at how I did this, I went to my square chart and I said, I know that 175 is more than 169. It's also less than 196. So it's definitely between the perfect square roots 13 and 14, although not exactly. Now, with method number 2, we're going to take a look at which it's closer to. Like for instance, if you turned 13 11 months ago and somebody said about how old you are, it would make more sense to say 14 because you're closer to 14. So 62 is another number that's not a perfect square, so it does not have a perfect square root. If we look for 62 on the list, we can't find it. But we could say it's definitely more than 49 and definitely less than 64. However, I'm going to get rid of the square root of 49 equals 7 because I see that it's definitely closer to the square root of 64. So I can say that the square root of 62 is around 8. Now to use the radical notation, I'm going to write this as this is written, the square root of 62 is about 8. Squiggly equal sign basically means approximately, about, or around. Trying one more time. All we have to do is say to which it's closest to. A number like 208 is not going to show up on your perfect squares list. But you can say where it's closest to by starting with which it's between. It's definitely less than 225, yet more than 196, and those are consecutive. I'm going to get rid of the 225 because 208 is 17 away from 225. And 208 is only 12 away from 196. This means it's closer to 14. And this is written as the square root of 208 is about 14. Okay, so remember, Corona sucks. And you guys stay safe, stay positive, stay strong, and keep watching these videos, learn some stuff.